and fight fans. Welcome to another episode of Headkicks and Haymakers. I'm your boy Bodkins, and joined with me tonight is none other than Mr. Bobby. Great Wit will join us here later on. He's doing some business, but me and Bobby will hold it down. Rare off week for the UFC. As Easter Sunday, obviously most people were there. Dana White was at WrestleMania, voicing things for WrestleMania. So how about that? Getting DKO things. But the world of MMA doesn't stop. In fact, I Bobby, like sitting through this past week, like here we are, obviously International Fight Week is right around the corner, and we still don't have a main event, a co-main event. Anything. We're getting all these reports, but nothing concrete, nothing from like Dana or even really the camps, right? From what we have kind of been told from Ariel Helwani and some others is like Islam is kind of waiting to see what happens in a few weeks' time. Whether he's going to stay at lightweight or whether he's going to wrestle at welterweight. If JDM beats Bilal, he'll move up. And if Bilal is a champion, he's going to stay down. Reported that he's in camp, and he was on. He's only going to fight for the title, not an interim title, but the title. Whether it's or Islam. Is it going to be Charles? There was reports that it was, International Fight Week was going to be DDP versus. Now we're getting reports that maybe DDP is hurt, but it's not, like camp or him or Dana has said that, but reports are that maybe he has a broken shin. I don't know what to fucking believe. And I try not to believe. I really don't want to believe hardly much unless it comes from either Ariel Helwani or Dana himself or the fighters themselves. But shit, Bobby, like I don't know where to go from here, or what the International Fight Week main event's supposed to be. This is supposed to be their week, right? Like like it's kind of like the highlighted of the week, right? Like last year it's UFC 3 International Fight Week. Like, what? I don't know what to think.
Yeah. I don't know what they're gonna do. I definitely think the pivot seemed to definitely be like it was gonna be Dricus versus Chimaev, and then the tweets came from Chimaev, ironically saying this guy is bullshit. That kind of gave me a chuckle. I get it from Chimaev's perspective. He's been waiting this whole time and stuff, and he's finally
the
just there.
To talk about though pulling out, right? Like
it's kind of ironic, but at the same time, I can see he's frustrated.
You don't get to bitch and moan. You don't get to bitch and moan.
Yeah. My information shows that he is already in the United States right now. So I do believe that was kind of the move. However, it definitely gets, the stuff about Dricus being injured definitely seems to be I'm going by it mainly just because Dricus kind of backed that up, because him and Chimaev were going back and forth. I don't know whether or not it's a broken shin. Quite ironic in the end, Sean Strickland might have won on damage because, he was checking all those kicks. But no, seriously, it's probably one of the biggest fights in Dricus' career. He's probably training hard, and he probably picked up an injury. And he would be a fool to be fighting Chimaev injured. That's going to be a tall task, 100% healthy there. Now, I've seen a lot of noise online saying this guy always seems to, fumble the great opportunities. That's how Strickland got the title shot in the first place against Izzy because he got injured. And to that, I'll say the guy seems to always land on his feet. So let's just let that play out, as Dana said. But, the stuff with Ilya was getting a little interesting. I personally thought it was dead last week when we recorded. I didn't think there was a chance they were going to be making that for International Fight Week. And, it seemed like he was kind of hell-bent on wanting to, fight just for the title. And it seems kind of like that's the direction the UFC wants to go. The one thing that I have not heard from, though, is Islam Makhachev. Like, we've heard from Javier Mendez, We've heard from Khabib, but we have not heard from Islam that he is not willing to fight Ilya. So I really don't get all this nonsense on Twitter of people trying to claim that he's ducking Ilya Taporia. I mean, I want to see the fight just as much as anyone else. But if it doesn't get made, what I'm concerned of now is Islam is actually just considering the move to 170. And I've been kind of on record that if they don't book Ilya right now against Islam, I don't think the fight will ever be made, because regardless of Islam's next fight, I do think his future will be at 170. So it is kind of a mess. The guy that tweeted out and was saying that Ilya Taporia is going to be fighting for, the title and it won't be the interim. I know for a fact he somewhat is tied to Ilya, whether with like the MMA promotion that Ilya just came out with in Spain. So like I got to take that with a grain of salt, but it seems kind of obvious that the UFC wants to do that fight, but at this point, I think there's a good chance it might be Islam versus Justin Gaethje. That would really not shock me. That is kind of the pill I was willing to swallow last Thursday. And then you got Kyle Baharo, getting vocal, trying to, get the Chimaev fight. Um, I do kind of wish if they book Chimaev and Bukayo that it is not for an interim title. I do not think Chimaev's first title shot should be for the interim. But if these things about the broken shin are true in the 7 months and it puts Drekis out till 2026, they might not have any other option. But in a
you just
perfect
strip
world,
them, right? Yeah, you just strip them at that point.
In a perfect world for me, the main event would be Islam versus Ilya. The co-main would be Pantoja versus Kai France, and the featured bout would be a 5-round fight between Hamzat Shamaev and Kyle Baharo. I personally would prefer Imamov to get the fight against Hamzat, but after all this shit that Kyle said today, feed him to Kamzat. Like I'm more willing to put Imavov on hold and watch that fight.
Yeah, I didn't catch the DDP interview. I saw some clip where he's talking about the rankings, and just said like shit. Which I mean, he's 100% right. I mean, he's that like he's ready for a fight. Says it's been 8 months since he's fought, and he's ready. He wants to go. So I'm good with like give him whoever. I'm kind of with you as far as like if if the shin issue is true and he can't fight and they're gonna have to he's gonna have to vacate the title because he's hurt. Then I'm kind of with you. Give me Hamzat versus Imana for the middleweight title and give Kaio, give him or somebody like that. I'm okay with that. I feel like everybody should have to go through Robert Whitaker to get a title fight just because.
And personally, for me, I think that's the more intriguing fight, like stylistically and stuff. It'd be a lot more interesting to me, but I don't know if the UFC, I'm sure they'd rather sell the fighting nerd than the French guy. So
yeah. And Kyle's a little bit more vocal. He's got the look too, in the fighting nerd. Like they just have that star power with them right now, all the momentum. I'm gonna like back to the lightweight. I haven't heard Justin Gaethje. That's the first I've heard. Like I've heard, Khabib said that he thinks Arman is a tougher challenge, or thinks that Arman should fight for the title again. You know what I mean? Instead of Ilya, it seems like they're dismissive of Ilya for some odd reason. At least Khabib is. I mean, like you said, we have not heard from Islam at all. Like, and I don't get this whole law fucking wins thing either. Like they're not like they train every.
I don't buy that at all, personally.
Like,
I
don't understand it to begin with. They're not in the same fucking camp. They're not. They're not. It's not like they're AT&T. They go to AT&T every day, or you know what I mean. Or they're not. They're not in the same training every day. Like Dana. shit on Merab and Aljo all them years, and they train side by side, and they're literally best friends. They're best friends, and people shit on them for not fighting each other. And then you got a couple guys that train every once in a while together, and they're both saying, I know Bilal has come out. I've heard Bilal come out of his mouth and say he'll never fight Islam. Never really heard Islam say that. So again, I'm not too sure where he's at. But just if you're gonna move up, then just fucking move up and whoever the fuck wins and be done with it, and then vacate the lightweight title. I don't think he can go from 170 to 155. That's a lot of weight back and forth and being active. Like, I don't know if I think somebody said it a while back. I don't know if we'll ever see like double champs where two simultaneously holds two belts, right? I think that's hard. It holds up to divisions. And I don't. So if it's either Islam, and maybe it is Islam, maybe they're saying, Ilya, it's going to be you and Islam, at IFW. Yeah, I don't know.
What I've kind of like, at this point, I'll say I've kind of talked myself into, but I think the thing about not fighting Bilal is more of a kind of smokescreen because they know that this is the obvious fight that's going to get made. And, the one thing that I found interesting on the, Joe Rogan with Ilya was him talking about Dana commenting. And he literally said, like, I think Islam I wonder if he's going to fight Bilal after this. Like, in Dana's mind, there really isn't that like friendship and training, but like you let with Marab and stuff, that's never really been his cup of tea. But if Islam is actually not long for the weight class and no longer wants to do the cut, I think it's kind of irrelevant who the champion is because it seems like regardless, he's going to go up. There's no way you can't, immediately put him at the top when he goes up. So, I can't rule that fight out from happening. But what I also can't rule out is Bilal has talked, and this is going to sound premature because he hasn't fought yet, but he's talked about wanting to move up in the future too. So I could totally see a scenario down the line where Bilal gets a few defenses in, goes up to 85, and then Islam moves up to 170. In my heart, I believe Islam has at least one fight left at 155, and I'm hoping that's against Ilia Topuria. I mean, if you had the pick of Ilia Topuria versus Islam, Armin versus Islam, or Justin versus Islam. Just those three. Charles is odd man out for the moment. Which one would you pick out of those three? Like for me, it would emphatically be Ilya versus Islam.
Yeah. I mean, you know what I mean? The UFC's rankings, I think they're 1 and 2 or 1 and 3. I think John Jones is somewhere in there in the UFC pound for pound rankings.
Yeah, Topuria is 3 and Islam's 1, and I think Jones is 2.
Yeah. In their own pound for pound rankings, like that's the fight you want to see is Ilya versus Islam. Like that's the fight to make, and it's right there. Like I don't know why they haven't made it or why they're dragging their feet. They haven't made this, international main event. It's blowing my mind.
Well, there's one more elephant in the room that I've been on record thinking it's been dead for a while. It was your original prediction what would headline International Fight Week. Do you think there's a chance that could still be on the table for International Fight Week? Because at this point, if that gets made, I think it will be the MSG card, and I really don't see that being International Fight Week unless John Jones has secretly been in camp or something like that.
Yeah. The John Jones, Tom Aspinall. And I was going to bring that up too because you got Chael Sonnen. One day he is saying it's yesterday. I think it was yesterday. He is saying it's a done deal, right? Like he is saying It's done. They have the date. John's agreed. It's going to be made. Then today I saw a tweet of his or him talking saying, oh, it's going to be Surreal Gone versus Tom Aspinall. Well, what the fuck happened yesterday in 24-hour span? You're telling us we're getting the John Jones Aspinall fight. Now you're telling us 24 hours later, you're saying it's Surreal Gone in Tom Aspinall. Makes no sense where Chael's getting his information from. I don't know. Ariel saying that it's not, Ariel Hawani's saying on his show, it's the UFC is done its part for John Jones. If John Jones fight Tom Aspinall, it's due to John Jones, not Tom Aspinall or the UFC.
So I don't know if I buy that, because what I'm assuming where Ariel is getting that information from is Tom, because we know nobody in John's camp talks to Ariel, and we know the UFC isn't talking to Ariel. And that literally sounds to me like something the UFC would be telling Tom. Like, that's Dana, like, literally saying, like, hey, we gave him his money. If he doesn't accept it, we did everything we meant to match it, but we didn't get it done. And I'm sorry, I just don't buy that. So when I heard that, that's the first thing I thought of. Granted, that's a little conspiratorial, but I don't know what we have to go on at this point, because it still hasn't been made.
Yeah, I don't know where I'm at on that. I don't think it's going to happen week. I think it's going to happen more at MSG. If you look at John Jones, like his last two fights were supposed to be at MSG. His last one was at MSG, and then both the Stipe fights, I guess you could say.
And think he's from New York. It makes sense.
Yeah. And Tom fought. Tom won the title at MSG, so it makes sense. And you can build that up, right? The clash of the heavyweights at MSG. That's where all the heavyweights, go to battle. That's where Ali and Frazier, and so you build that up as far as like you take all the heavyweights and you build this massive moment between the generational guy and the guy who's been there, and then the guy that's coming, the young kid that's there. So I think you're probably right. If that happens now, it's at MSG. I'm not too sure what happens at International Fight Week, and it's troublesome because we're not getting anything clear, right? We're not getting any evidence. Like, Dana's not said anything, neither camp has said anything. Man, and it's just like, speaking of that, before we get into that, there was reports earlier this week or over the weekend that Sean O'Malley's hurt, and there was like a clip of him in crutches.
Yeah, and again, this is why I hate the internet, because I remember on an interview he was saying that he was like looking at property and stuff. So, like, who knows if that is an old or new photo? I really hope it's old, because about the only reason we've been sold on accepting this rematch is that he was, compromised with his hip. Now, I've kind of been on record saying I don't think it's going to go too much differently, but maybe it would if he had the full movement. But yeah, the crutches ain't good. And then I don't know. The last thing I got on internet, like, maybe there's a small chance this has to do with, because ironically, some of these fights we're asking for are the biggest fights that the UFC literally have in their bag. Is this positioning for the TV rights deal they're trying to secure with the new package, wanting to do multiple people? Like, maybe they're shopping these two fights specifically around, but again, at the same time, that wouldn't make too much sense, because International Fight Week, to my knowledge, is through the ESPN plus package and everything, because that runs to the end of the year. So I don't really know like how much positioning that would really have. And I think, we're just so used to getting the announcement by now. We're all just on a little pins and needles. But I definitely got my preferences for what I want it to be. But I just don't know how likely that is at this point.
Yeah. Yes. Sorry, my internet was.
Oh, you froze out there. You back? Okay. He'll probably hop in and back there.
Yeah,
Oh, there we go.
we're good. We're good. Yeah. Yeah. Were you? I think I heard what you're saying. You were talking about the contract and what's the chances? Do you think? What percentage do you give it to? And there's a report that Netflix. They said they didn't want to buy the whole package. I don't really know how much we believe in all the all that. Like I don't really think that's a ploy, right? Like a contract negotiation ploy.
Negotiation, yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, Bobby. Do you think what percentage do you think that we get both? Like you just said, like we have the two biggest fights they can make, the UFC can make this year: Jones versus Aspinall, Ilya versus Islam. That's the two biggest fights I think anybody, if you talk to any fan, the two biggest fights they can make. Obviously, other than fictional fucking booking. What's the chances that we get both of those fights in this calendar year?
I don't know, man. Like, to be honest, I'm just hoping we get one. Like, if you asked me this last week, I would have emphatically said they're going to go 0 for 2 on this. And from where I'm sitting, it looks like they're about to go 0 for 3 because the other fight, though he's, not huge box office, but I think they were really banking on Dricus and Chimaev because being able to bring him back to the States, that's going to definitely help for pay-per-views. But I don't know. I just think we might be going 0 for 2 on those. If I were to put it at a percentage, it's still, it's not total doom. I would probably put it at like 30% for each of them that they happen. I mean, like I said, if Islam's next fight is not against Taporia, I don't think that fight will happen. When these big fights get made, if they don't get made, something else happens. I mean, just look at Shavkat. He still hasn't gotten a title shot. And,
Yeah, JDM. So, and if you look at it, speaking of that, and what if JDM pulls the up in May in like 2 weeks? I think that fight is right. What if he pulls
I
the
think
upset?
that's what the UFC is praying for at this point.
JDM pulls the upset.
Just the fact that it would solve a lot of their issues because Islam would immediately go up and they book that fight, and then they'd probably book Ilya with someone for the title.
Ilya versus Charles for the title. Ilya
Yeah,
versus Charles.
and but I've been getting ready to break down the tape on all this, and it's no secret, who I think is going to win that fight. There definitely are avenues for JDM to pull up the upset, but I think that's a big gamble, and also why I don't find it realistic that is the UFC's plan to wait to see if JDM can pull the upset. But if you look at the betting lines, it's not too much of an upset. I mean, he's not too heavily of an underdog. So, maybe my Bilal Muhammad fandom is getting the best of me. But just the people that I've seen Bilal fight against, I think he would, a pretty decent chance that he gets a ruby put on his belt that night. And more why I don't buy the fact that is what Islam is waiting for. I think he's, maybe he's playing negotiation with the UFC and saying, "Hey, I'll fight Ilya, but give me Ilya came out on the Patrick Beck David and said he made like 2.5 million on the Max fight. So, maybe that's a contract negotiation on both ends, but I cannot subscribe to the fact that Ilya or that Islam is afraid of Ilya. Like that is just laughable to me.
Yeah,
And
I'm not
I'm an
subscribing
Ilya guy, and that is laughable.
Yeah, I'm not subscribing to the ducking notion of it at all. I think so. Let me say, like, my question really was, my thought process was like, let's just say JDM pulls the upset, and then Islam drops the belt, and they do Islam versus JDM. What the hell do you do with Shavkat at that point in time? This is a guy who should have had 2 title shots, and one the champ got hurt, and he still fought, and then he got fought in that hurt, and then he couldn't fight this time. So it's just like, you know what I mean? So like sets him back. Do you just do him Bilal? I guess if Bilal loses the title, you know what I mean? The fight for the
I'd prefer it, but I think Shavkat would be promised the next title shot and would just be told to wait.
You gotta wait. You gotta wait another year. So he would almost take a year off at that point in time, right? Like,
but he's coming back from that terrible injury. So like, if he was completely healthy, I'd absolutely agree. You gotta take a fight, but it could be a worse situation for him, as crazy as that sounds.
Yeah. Well, that kind of wraps up the news and went chumps in. I ask you guys both. Do you guys want to do our pound for pound? Or do you want to talk about the UFC Kansas City card first? Pound, then we'll wrap up the show with UFC Kansas City. Are we good with that?
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's jump into. Do we want to list off the fight? Do we want to have like a round table for the men's, and then I think we're just going to list off our women, or do we want to list off both of them? And then just kind of talk shit on each other's list.
I'm good with the round table.
Yeah, we can kind of round robin it. I was looking for like a day and some change at the UFC's pound for pound, and I was like, it's a couple people, because if we're just doing 10, you know what I'm saying? It was a couple people in my mind. I was like, I'm surprised that they're not even in the 15, but it's c'est la vie. Come see, come ça. All that French, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
All right, wait. I'll start with you. We'll do a round table with just the men here first. What number 10?
For me, man, number 10 is a guy that I was looking at for the last couple of months, a little longer than that, and I like the productivity in the past year or so. He's done some things, he's won some fights, and he's made some noise. And even though right now I don't know, I guess he would be somewhat in title contention, I just want to give him a shout out, man, because he is not on this list for the UFC rankings. But in my mind, I'm gonna go Joaquin Buckley at 10. Somebody just throw him right there at the bottom, bro. I'm throwing him right there at the bottom.
Well, okay, Witt is bringing the fucking wild.
He's been making noise. Why not? Why not at 10? Wow. Maybe he's on the cusp of 11 or 12.
Right, but I said 10, cut off.
Right there.
Wow. Okay. All right, Bobby.
I do love the Buckley love, for the record. That's awesome. Damn, I thought my number 10 was going to be controversial, but Witt just stole my thunder.
My bad.
Now I just got a guy on the list. My number 10, and I kind of struggled with this one. I really wasn't sure where to go with this, because a lot of times the pound for pound ranking should definitely be for what's already happened, which I completely acknowledge. That's normally how it works. It's not an all-time ranking, it's a pound for pound. And then there's kind of the what could you do for me lately? And granted, this ranking was probably when we thought the main event for International Fight Week was intact. But my number 10 is none other than Khamzat Chimaev, Mr. Boris there.
No, that's not too shocking. I'm okay with that. I mean, to me, that's Witt's. I'm still like my brain still can't wrap around Witt's shocking.
The young man's winning some fights. He deserves a little bit of exposure.
My number 10 is Tommy Aspinall, the interim heavyweight champion.
At 10?
Yeah.
Shocking for you.
Yeah. I know, and he could be a little higher, but I'm gonna I got him at 10.
Okay.
The rest of my list is. I mean, I got some guys I don't even really like on my list. But they're good fighters. So,
But they're guys, yeah, you guys right. I can agree with that.
I already know who that is.
I got a couple on there. This ain't the popularity or my favorite list. This is guys who are I gotta tip my cap to. Bobby, we'll go back to you. Number 9.
So your 10 was Aspinall?
10 was Aspinall.
Yeah. Okay. This is another one I kind of struggled with and went back on. And when we go further up, it actually might be a little bit more shocking. But my number 9 is Tom Aspinall. And just like Botkins, I wish I could put him higher, but at this point it's almost no fault of his own. But the activity just has not been there to crack ahead of some of these guys that have, done successful title defenses and have done nothing but continued to win. So I don't feel good having him on here. I was kind of hoping, an announcement would get made around this fight and it would make me, switch up the entire thing. Because I'm not going to lie, if that fight was announced on paper, I would have an entirely different pound for pound. And again, that should, sound kind of absurd when we're talking about stuff that has been done. But if that fight was booked, it would someone would actually be on my pound for pound list. Let's just say that.
Okay. So you don't you're tipping your
We'll
cap
get
to me.
there. We'll get there.
You don't have Double J on your list.
Nope.
Wow. See, I do. He just
Oh,
fought.
I know you do. When you mention it, I can explain why.
No,
But
you're good. Whit, who do you got at number 9? Colby Covington, Roy Vaughan, somebody.
Bro.
Nah, man, I'm with you, Bobby. 9 due to just a little bit of inactivity, which is not his fault, of course. I got Tom Aspinall, interim champ. Right now, we're waiting on the match to be set. The last time we got an opportunity to see him, he did, prove his salt. But when we're doing pound for pound right now, for what I've seen, there are some guys who even have a loss I would put in front of Tom Aspinall right now. But at 9, I think it's respectable because literally with the fight that he's supposed to have, he jumps up. If he wins, right, he'll jump up 7-5 spaces immediately just with one fight. So
if he beats John Jones, he's my number 1.
Yeah, I mean, immediately. So it's not. We're not disrespecting him.
Maybe you could put this when we'll get there. I don't want to tip my cards too much here. My number 9 is a guy that was way higher on the list the last time we did our rankings, but he lost the light heavyweight title, and it's none other than Alex Pierre is my number 9, Poton. So he just again, that fight he just didn't look like himself. Seems like he's trying to, I don't know, get the spirits back or something, and we'll see what he does in the rematch here in October. Whit, I'll go back to you. You're number 8.
This is where we are beginning to have one of those we in agreement type moments because I'm going AP. I'm going with the boogeyman. I'm going with Alex Pierre, man. Even though the loss was a tough loss to watch, once again, the activity, everything else except for that in like the last year and a half still gives me pause to even put him at 8. I almost had him basically at 7 because 6, 7, I feel like my 5, 6, and 7 can be interchangeable. You know what I'm saying? But they're champions nonetheless. But either way, yeah, let's go with AP Alex Pierre.
To clarify, Pierre is the only non-champ I have on my list.
Indeed, I got Piera and Joaquin.
Bobby, you're number 8.
You know what time it is.
But
Magomed Ankalaev is my number 8.
You know, I actually got him higher on my list. I actually have him high.
Or Big Ankh, however you want to call it. And I did want to also put him higher, but some things happened in the last couple of weeks that kind of bumped him down here because of previous things. And being number 9 on that list is no shot at all. And I would have no problem if someone wanted to put him higher, because he definitely deserves to be higher with how high Pereira was on the pound for pound going into that fight. But what he showed me in that fight is he did almost exactly what he was gonna say with wasn't able Pereira wasn't able to get off the cage, and Ankalaev kept him there. A big part of me having him here is thinking that he will win the rematch as well. So if that was like up in the air to me, I don't know if he really would have cracked my top 10, but it's kind of hard to leave him off when he beat someone so high up. So it's only right that he's there. So number 8, Big Ankh.
Number 8.
Yeah, my 6, 7, 8 on mine are kind of interchangeable. I like to call them Bobby's favorite fighters. So number 8 is for me is Pantoja. So it's you don't even have him on your list, huh, Bobby?
No, keep going. Sorry.
Oh shit!
It sounded like a shocking. That was a shocking sound effect just now.
Are you just upset?
I can't believe he's that low. I can't believe he's that low. That was my reaction.
Okay. Well, I mean, my 6, 7, 8 are interchangeable. They're your 3 favorite fighters, so maybe you know what I mean. So, I have Pantoja, and maybe he is, but it's tough. But I have him at 8. So, maybe it's the flyweight
UFC. The UFC has him at 10. So at least you did. You didn't like slap him in the face. So
I think
you're higher than consensus with the UFC. So that's a plus.
I think it has to do with the flyweights. I think that's why he gets no love. It's much like Mighty Mouse didn't get a lot of love when he was, should have been the pound for pound, and one of the greatest fighters of all time. So, or as Minnie Mouse is,
just like you say, it's like the competition. It's not like there isn't competition, but the reoccurring competition in the flyweight is what drags them down.
Yeah, I think it's just because it's like 125 guys, and so they're not like knocking each other out. It's what I mean, but
they're brawling. They're brawling, but they ain't like doing nothing crazy.
Yeah.
For me personally, I made that mistake with Mighty Mouse once. I refuse to do it again, but I get your point.
Yeah, I think that's the reason. I really think it is. We'll go to you, Bobby, this time for 7.
My bad. 7.
7.
Well, kind of. Wait. So did you only do your 7, or did you name all 3 there?
No, I didn't. I just named my 8. Yeah, I'll get to my other 2 favorite Bobby fighters.
My number 7, I would definitely have him a bit higher, but unfortunately he picked up an injury, and this was about as low as I could put him. Even looking at it, it feels wrong. But my number 7 is Bilal, the bully, Bilal Muhammad.
Yeah.
What's his name? The name. Remember the name. We have to try to remember his name. That's why I have 2. So, who's your number 7? I'm not going to go because I had to say Bobby here at 7.
That makes me sick, honestly. I need to move him.
For 7, I feel like it's for me is going to be Ankalaev. Just because he got right there, he did the unthinkable. You know what I mean? It's it's something that we thought could be done, but even the way that he did it, we thought it was, he's going to go in there and wrestle Piera. This is going to be the guy that did the takedowns. It still didn't happen the way we wanted it to, or the way we pictured it, but it happened. So for him to be 7, I think that's a respectable spot for him. Not
Ankalaev at 7, you said?
Yeah, we got Ike.
All right, who's your 6?
Who's my 6? Yeah, back to me. This is where I got Bilal. I got Bilal there at 6. Same for it's the last time we got a chance to see him. He put on a really respectable fight. It was unfortunately against somebody I thought could do better. Again, Leon Edwards. He mauled him, and it seems as though very much like the Patriots of the old NFL. When you put the blueprint out, everybody copies it, and we see Leon Edwards get chopped down by my guy Sean Brady the week before. So I wonder how often this type of fighting style, which could be attributed to Dagestani fighters, is going to be duplicated, and who's going to be used on next. But I'll give Bilal Muhammad some credit, and we'll throw him right there in that 6.
Bobby, who's your 6? You muted.
Yeah, I feel like I should bump Bilal up, but I guess the reason I didn't bump him up is because this guy had a vintage performance. He was already at the top of the pound for pound rankings, and he looked on. So my number 6 is Alexander Volkanovski there. And I don't think that one really takes too much explanation to show with how I got there. It was more putting him over other guys like Bilal and stuff. But he recaptured a title for a second time, and had multiple defenses in his first reign. So for me, I put him up there.
Yeah, you like that, Bobby? Fly the W. The Cubs beat the Dodgers, win the series against the Dodgers. Season series, baby.
Nice. Yeah, they're on a roll.
Yeah. It's pretty much like a season sweep because I don't count those 2 games in Japan.
Yeah, let's see how they do in October.
Hey, maybe.
Changes the narrative when you talk about October.
And we're not talking October, Bobby. We're talking about right fucking now.
Right now.
I'll give it to you.
Talking about right fucking now. Right fucking now is my guy. Number 6 is Ankalaev. I mean, the UFC light heavyweight champion. So my 6, 7, 8 were Bobby's 3 favorite fighters. Go ahead.
Can I have a question on this one? First of all, love that ranking. Congratulations. So did you put him that high mainly because he beat Pereira, who was so highly ranked?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of assumed so, but I just wanted to double check.
I mean, when you beat a guy to me that I had 2 or 3, I think I couldn't, the last kind of time we did this guy, and he really beat, you know what I mean? Like Alex, I think won 2 rounds of that 5-round fight. You know what I mean? Maybe 1 round. And just kind of beat him down. If Alex, I probably would have put him higher. I probably would have put him at 5, but he finished him. So that's why I have Ankalaev at 6 because of who he beat, and that's why he's over Pantoja and Bilal. Because
I did not feel good putting him at 8, so I'm glad that he got put a lot higher because like
I said, you could take my 6, 7, 8 to me and mix those 3 up to my like I said, Bobby's favorite fighters.
Right.
Who's your number 5?
Me or Whit?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, 5.
You're 5.
Me as
Bobby's
in
5.
Bobby. Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Another one that was a little bit tricky, but I don't know how I could really have him lower than this. But number 5 is the man that we don't know what his current status is, but still knocks Dricus du Plessis. I don't think there's a fighter I could have been more wrong about than Dricus du Plessis. I was not on the show when he fought Whitaker, but I did not think he stood a chance, and he dog walked him and finished him. And he just keeps finding a way to win, and he seems pretty well-rounded in everything. It really bums me out that we're gonna have to wait for the Chimaev fight, because no offense to Kyle Baharo, but that is not a more interesting fight. Like, the interesting fight is the one we had. This would be nothing more than being able to fill something, which, hey, if we get to see Chimaev on International Fight Week, I'd be fine with that. But yeah, that's a real one I was looking forward to. And I still don't really know what way I'm going to go on that, to be honest. I go back and forth with it every day. So hopefully we get it. But yeah, still knocks at number 5.
Okay. I don't want to. I'll get to. Go ahead, Whit.
Yeah. Well, number 5, man. I'm gonna throw like it's not necessarily a monkey wrench. I don't want to call it a monkey wrench. It's more like just a act of faith because of what it kind of took to get there. I don't think I said it already, but I got it on my phone. I'm gonna throw Volk at 5, and then
That's like this is 5 too.
Yeah, this is at Volk at 5. So yeah, so you kind of see, like, just because of the adversity, you know what I'm saying? We know
it's not that this guy was pound for pound champ. This guy was the number 1 guy, and he lost to 1 and 3 guy in the UFC rankings, and he got his belt back. He did take the year off, but he got his belt back. He won. And so to me, like, I'm gonna not forget about the 2 knockouts, but I can move past it now, because it's like, okay, he probably should have took the short notice fight against Islam, like a week's notice, and then turn around and fight Ilya in both. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, I would have liked to see, when we saw him in a full camp against Islam, he gave Islam every inch that Islam had. You know what I mean? Like, not that he won the fight, but he kind of won the night almost.
It looked like a difficult version for Islam to fight. Yes.
Yeah, like Islam really struggled against him. Like, Islam looked human, right? Like, you couldn't finish him. He's damn near finished everybody else. I think he has finished everybody else he's faced damn near, other than Volk. So, like, yeah, I put him at 5. I'm right there with you. And Bobby had him at 6. I mean, that's
I really struggled putting Dricus in front of him there. That was another one that that's why I hate these lists in the first place, because it's you feel like you're throwing shade on a great like him, and what he did what was it, like 2 weeks ago now? You just don't get those things.
You don't get a guy coming back to do work like that. I just like you were saying, Bobby. To be real, I felt funny not talking about Shavkat this time. I think this is the first pound for pound we've done in a while where we're not talking about how good Shavkat can be and his title contention. You know what I'm saying? I think this is one of the first ones. So I felt funny about not having him somewhere on here.
If he was active, I'd probably have him at 10. Obviously, if he had the title, it'd be different. But that was noticeable. A noticeable one.
I mean, guys like Max Holloway, you know what I mean? There's several guys that that been on lists that aren't no longer on the list. We'll go back to you for number 4.
4, we swapping it out. Me and Bobby, man. I got Dricus in there. It's worth saying that he's been standing on business when it comes to him and his fights. You know what I mean? It's not going unseen that he is literally taking the toughest fights and doing I'm not going to say he's like mauling guys, but he's winning strategically each time, and he's been taking it. One of the things that I love about him is like after the post fight, you can tell he's been taking some shots. He's been been durable. He's really, I guess, up the ante in that division as far as, hey, look, you're not just going to come in here and stand and bang, bro. You got to have some ground game. You got to have this. You got to have it makes the idea of him being multi-layered, because just like Bobby, I think just like Bobby said, he might not have been on the show, but I remember me and Barkins was like just a little skeptical about how good he would be. You know what I mean? Just a little bit. But I cannot knock him for what he's done now. He's really made a true stance in the division, in the UFC, and like to put him right there at 4, I think is respectable.
Wow. All right. You guys, I'm still skeptical. Bobby,
did you already say him? Where'd you have him at? Or he's not on your top 10?
Oh wow! Where's the dog mask for that one? I got dog.
Yeah. Well, I could see how the math got there. So that means he thinks Chimaev was going to win.
You could leave him off if you really wanted to.
He's not on my list.
Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, there's no room for him. He would have been 11.
Huh. All right. Yeah, I think you probably should have got over Potent, but it's your list and it's America. So
speaking of your list, who's your number 4, Bobby?
It's another man I guess I've doubted in the past, but he definitely deserves to be here. Doesn't look like he's going to be going anywhere. So this number is just going to be going higher. That has to go to the machine, Merab Delisvili. Though I don't think the Umar fight was as, some people have it like as a unanimous. I think that was his toughest fight. You could definitely see he was able to push the pace on Umar. And, I had a hard time not having Umar in my top 10 just based off that Merab performance. Yeah, I mean, he should probably even be a little bit higher. But currently I got the machine.
Yeah. With you already gave us your 4. Who was your 4? You had DDP. Yeah, my number 4 is right there, Bobby. I'm right there with you. I have the machine, Merab, and if Merab if his striking and he could actually finish, people, he could have been higher. I think maybe, I don't know. It'd be tough for him to crack my top 3 here. But yeah, I'm right there. Merab is number 4. And to me, all the cards were stacked against him, against Umar, and so much that O'Malley lost the title fight and is getting a rematch right away, where Merab won the title and fought a guy in between the fight, right? So it's like that, what I mean? They just stacked it against him, and he showed up and won. And in an incredible fashion fight. It was a credible fight. That and I think that fight happened in January. So I mean, Merab is his nickname suits him perfect. The machine. Bobby, I'll go back to you. Number 3.
Yeah. Before I give my number 3, one last thing. Definitely, I do think them giving him the O'Malley rematch is just as much about them throwing Merab a bone for taking that Umar fight. Because, from where we're looking at, that's a fairly easy Ruby there. Now, on to my number 3, which apparently this guy's one of my favorite fighters. I didn't even know that until 10 minutes ago. But, I just can't keep discounting what this guy's doing. Flyweight is probably one of the most stacked divisions when you look at it 1 through 12. Yeah, middleweight is stacked when you look at 1 through 5. Yeah, 145 is stacked when you look at that. But if you're looking 1 through like 15 in flyweight, there is not an easy night out in that office. And Alexander Pantoja beats all of them. So my number 3 is Pantoja.
Okay. Whit, you're number 3. All right, you're muted. I don't know if you're talking to us or.
Yeah, my mom says hi, guys. I'm sorry.
Oh, tell your mama said hi. Hi, Mr. Whit.
But yeah, we on 3, right?
Yeah, 3.
All right, so 3 is more. It's more of the same. You know, we're kind of rotating guys right about now. You know, we're gonna go ahead and throw Marab out there. It's to see him take care of business in the fashion he's been taking care of business with multiple guys, somewhat seemingly not missing a beat. You know, it's I don't know what else to say. It's one of those things where what else, you know, because all right, so I'm not, we're not gonna speak lightly on his last fight, but literally I don't care which Nurmagomedov it was, but he beat him, and he beat him horribly, like made him look outclassed, and then mess around. And I think the brother lost in PFL. It was just a horrible.
Nah, they won. They won. He won.
Okay, yeah. All right. The brother won in PFL. The other one lost it in the UFC. And at that time, if y'all remember, they had a lot of those promos between promotions where, of course, the Godfather is going. They don't even want to let Dagestani fighters in anymore. There's nowhere else for them to fight because of how good they are, and so on and so forth. And to see someone come in who, is jovial, is jokey, he laughs, he makes fun of himself, he's none of that serious crap we see from the other camps, come in and take full advantage of a guy. I think he deserves that number 3 spot. Number 2, number 1. You can flip flop it, maybe 2, but definitely not anywhere that is not 4. You know what I'm saying? So 3, let's give it to Marab. He deserves it. He's worked his butt off. And I'm sure he's enjoying like Georgian women and like money in a hot tub or something like that right now.
Yeah. My number 3 is Bobby's other favorite fighter, and that's Ilia Topuria. Is my number 3. The former featherweight champion who is trying to catch his second title here. So Ilya is my number 3. Whit, I'll go to you. Who's your number 2?
Slide him right back out, man. Let's take him out of the oven. Let's go ahead and make him let's give him props now, because who knows what he could do in a new division. Let's go ahead and talk about Ilya. We saw him do what we thought was almost impossible with Volk. You know what I mean? And do the division dirty, take out Max Holloway and everything. And to me, relinquishing, that's the word. Relinquishing the title, forfeiting it, is not losing it. You know what I'm saying? It's a difference. So I think even if he would have still stayed in the same division, he probably would have still been 2 or 3 for me. So definitely shout out to Ilya. He's making noise right now, and I'm excited to see because there ain't no when they line up that title fight.
Bobby, you're number 2.
It's the same. I mean, I want to call him El Matador, but he changed his nickname.
Yeah, I don't know what his nickname is now. I forgot. The Chosen One?
The Legend.
I
believe.
Legend.
But yeah, no, for me it's
El Matador sounds better, doesn't it? Ilya
Matador. Absolutely. Yeah, no. Yeah, no question, it sounds better. But yeah, for me, even though he vacated the title, those 2 wins, or those 2 finishes, I should say, it's just I can't put him any lower than this. It should, this is definitely why we kind of want this fight to, be booked in the first place, so it could be 1 versus 2, and you can get an answer for that. But I know the UFC holds him that highly because they show him at 3 on their thing. So But, everyone will go back to, oh, we haven't seen him properly tested and stuff like that. And if you're talking about the 155 division, sure. But I mean, he hasn't been tested. That is the most moronic statement that I've ever heard, because he has clearly been tested and he has, KO'd the people he's been tested against. So, yeah, for me, that is a layup. And I got Ilya Taporia at 2.
Yeah, my number 2 is Islam. The light heavyweight title. And I think, Islam is beaten everybody. He's on the second longest winning streak in the UFC history, and all that good stuff. So Islam's my number 2. And now I'm curious, am I the odd man out here as my number 1? So Bobby, who is your number 1?
What?
I mean, the only answer that should be Islam Makhachev, number 1. I just, at this point, like, if you didn't have him number 1 before he decided to take the Moyakano fight on 2, like, even Dana bumped him up, who was meat riding hard for John Jones for months, claiming that he was number 1. And then he immediately took it and is like, oh, yeah, he's number 1. He'll fight anyone, anytime. Save me with the ducking nonsense. I don't know what else he has to do to be considered number 1.
Whit, your number 1?
I'm lining it up, man. Let's go ahead and do Islam Makhachev, bro. I mean, it's kind of, to be stated, bro. It's what else can the man do right now besides have the fight of the century with the guy who switches divisions? That's about it. I mean, it hurt me to see. It hurt, like we talked about how Volt looked with a full camp. Poirier with a full camp looked good. It ended another way. Volkanovski ended another way. Like this is a pure domination right now until we get a fully fledged, ready to rumble Ilya. So gotta leave him right there at 1, bro.
How do we sit here? And it's 2025. And there's one guy who's been constant in the UFC, undefeated, never lost.
Never lost.
His name's John fucking Jones Bones, folks. And neither one of you have John Jones on their pound for pound list. I mean, the disrespect to my number 1, John Jones, cleaned out the light heavyweight title. I understand. You want to tell me he should be fighting Tom Aspinall, and in fact, you guys know how I feel that he's going to lose to Tom Aspinall. I have predicted this. But till that happens, and he has fought recently as far as November, so like we can put him in the rankings. It is John Jones, who is the greatest of all time. And as long as he is still got the gloves on until he says he's retired, he will be number 1 until he either A, retires or loses. And neither of those things have happened yet here in the year 2025. Give me John Jones, number 1, pound for pound, ranking pound per pound GOAT, the greatest of all time, John Bones Jones. The disrespect you two have shown him.
I don't think it's any disrespect at all. I'm ready to explain my math quite simply.
Go ahead.
Basically, I look at it like this. And I was a big proponent of wanting him to fight Stipe. But let's be real here. These other guys on the list, I rank their wins way higher than beating Cyril Gane or an old man Stipe Miocic. I'm sorry. The only thing I would have done was entirely remove Tom Aspinall from my pound for pound ranking, and I would have put John Jones at 9. But he is not going higher than any of these people that is fighting active contenders who are winning. If this was a greatest of all time list or an all-time great list, he would absolutely be on the top of it. But I'm sorry. Fuck those last 2 wins. I do not care.
But before that, he was number one, right? Before those 2 wins, he was still number one, right?
When I did the pound for pound ranking with you last time, if you remember, I did not have him in my pound for pound ranking
what I'm saying
because he hadn't fought and with the injury.
I'm saying, my counter argument is that before that happened, before those 2 wins that you were saying are bullshit, which I don't know. Maybe Stipe I'll give you, but the Cyril Gane, like people, you know
Cyril
what I mean?
Gane is trash. He can't fucking grapple his way out of a paper bag. Like, if you're telling me that anyone thought that Cyril Gane stood a chance against John Jones, like this is why
before the Francis fight, I think people thought
this is why the Tom Aspinall fight needs to happen, because
Agreed.
This is the level of opponent you beat to get put on that list, and he has not beaten anyone that is on that list. Stipe was not on the pound for pound list.
I agree with what you're saying, but my whole point is he was number one for years, never lost. Can't just take him off because you know what I mean?
I basically consider him retired. I don't think he's going to fight again. That's why I said, like, if this fight would actually be made, he'd be at the top of the list. He'd be sitting at number 2, and Ilya would be 3. Chimaev would have been bumped out. But I do not think that is happening. And like, if that fight gets made by the time we get off the podcast, I will gladly put him up there at the top. But to me, he is currently a retired fighter, and retired fighters do not go in a pound for pound list. I don't care if Dana White gets everyone from Meta to do rankings. It's my list.
I got the opposite. I am on the opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah, I mean, wait, what is you got Joaquin Buckley at number fucking 10. And you don't have the greatest of all time on your list. At least Bobby's got like champions, and you're just like, yeah, Joaquin fucking Buckley never fought for the title. You know, not even number 1 contender, number 10 on my list. But I'm gonna leave out John fucking Bones Jones.
The thing is, and this is why. Here's my reason: John Bones, in all of the things that you said, because you had a elegant soliloquy about his greatness, about how long he's been around, how many fights he's on. All of that makes me put him
Paul
down.
Heyman for a second. I felt like Paul Heyman, ladies and gentlemen.
You exactly.
My name is Nick Black, and I am the advocate for the right.
Right, yeah, respect your tribal chief type shit. But my thing, in all honesty, is this: with the way that the rankings are made, John Jones is almost like an excerpt. Like, it's almost like insert here right now. You know what I mean? And as of right now, we just got him on the side. It's no knock to him. We, of all people, us who talk about this every day, who are waiting for the time Aspinall fight to be, we know how good John Jones is. We know how long he's been around. But just because he hasn't fought, that doesn't mean he's not the best ever. No. But right now, just for the pound for pound, I don't have him on. I don't have him on it right now. But as soon as I hear, like if we do it in a month, if we do a pound for pound and the fight is made, he's going back to number 1. That's just how it works. You know what I mean? But
I could see that had he not fought in November, but he just recently fought in less than a calendar year.
Yeah, less than the count. I mean, it feels.
He fought a guy that had not fought in 2.5 years, that got KO'd by someone that's no longer in the UFC.
That, actually,
and this is like me correcting. Like, I was wrong on this. Like, I was incorrect. And this, granted, it was probably the time that did it, and that made me this jaded towards it. But I'm at the point where it's shit or get off the pot, John. And I know John doesn't care about my pound for pound rankings. So if it will appease you, I'll bump Chimaev out of there and he's at 10, or I'll remove Tom. But
just know, if we don't get Tom Aspinall versus John Jones, I'm blaming you two, because Jones he doesn't have him on. You don't have him on his list.
Hey man,
if anything, you should be praising me. You should be praising me, because this will hopefully make the fight happen, and then I'll have to change my math.
Shout out to Football Talk with Bo. Uncle Bo, what's going on?
I hope so. All right, let's just run down our females, and then we got to talk about Prates and Ian Garry. We want to go bottom to top. I'll just go bottom to top. I'll read my 10 off, and then Bobby, then Whit here. So here's my 10. Starting at 10, I have Blanchfield, Grasso, Blanchfield at 10, Grasso at 8, Virna, Jared, whatever her name is, at 7, right? No.
Yeah, I'm gonna need Whit for a lot of these.
Wait, 10, 9, 8 as Virna is at 8. My number 7 is Cyborg. My number 6 is Dakota. Bobby, help me say her last name. The PFL lady.
Ditcheva.
Yeah, thank you. Number 5 is Fierro. Number 4 is Pena. Number 3 is my girl Kayla Harrison. Once she gets the title, she could, she might move up. And then I have number 2 at is Chevy, and then I have number 1 at Wei Lee. Bobby, go ahead. You're top pound for pound women's.
We pretty much got the same list, damn near. Go ahead.
You're making me think of Chevy the car for a second. I'm like, who?
Chevy.
I'm like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah, the bullet.
Yeah, so help me not butcher her name. So at 10, I got Vieira Jordaroba.
Vierna Jard. Yeah. Raul
Rojas Jr. I can pronounce that name. So yeah, I got her at 10. She should probably be higher. In my opinion, she should be fighting Wei Lee next.
If Wei Lee doesn't fight she's not fighting Shevchenko. That's the fight to make. Yep.
Yeah. And then I got Alexa Grasso at number 9. I didn't want to bump her down this far, but looking at that last performance against Valentina, she definitely looked like a fish in the water. So, I'm a little bit surprised she made the cut, honestly, but she is a former champion, so I kept her in there. 8, I got Blanchfield.
Yep.
7, I have the title challenger in a few weeks, Manon Farot. Probably lower than some people. That's no discredit to her, just a few people higher. Number 6, I have Juliana Pena. Number 5, I have the PFL's Dakota Ditcheva. Number 4, I have Chris Cyborg. Number 3, I have Kayla Harrison. And then Shevchenko at 2, the Bullet, and Wei Lee at 1.
Yeah, so we almost got the same 10, just a little different order.
Just a little different mixed up. All right, so bang, bang, choo-choo train. Let me see you do this thing.
One more thing. The biggest thing, Tatiana Suarez fell out of my top 10 when I had her like top 3 or 4. Sorry, go ahead, Whit.
I had Bobby, same.
Yeah, big shouts out to Jessica Andrade, but she had lost. Yeah, so I took her a little further down. Let's go Thug Rose at 10. I got Ditcheva because of the competition. I feel like it's not like she does not deserve to be higher, but what if she was in another promotion? Anyway, then we throw in we got Kayla out here in the streets. What to do? Let's see how that goes. I'm excited to see Janaroba Virna, right? That's another one. But of course, she's coming up, so she's probably going to end up getting that title shot somehow in some way. We're going to go Blanchfield, but I really, and this is where I do my mix up right here for the women, like, because I feel like almost like Minot Finfaro and Juliana Pena, right? Between that, you could kind of put Blanchfield above Farrow, in my opinion. Just the nudge, like just a nudge. You could. So that like 3-4, that 5-6, like 6-5-4, that one. Then of course we gotta go Alexa Grasso one more time. Of course, because who else right now, right? But then Shevchenko at 2, Zhang Wei Li is no question about it right now. I mean, Shevchenko just got back up there, but Wei Li has been holding it down, and decidingly winning fights against top tier competition. I mean, they are trying to find anybody to fight Zhang Weili right now. So it's no need to put anybody else at one but her. But Shevchenko, long standing, always there. You know what I'm saying?
We could be getting that fight. We could be getting that fight after if she defends and beats Manier Fierro.
Right. Yeah. I would definitely say a super fight is up next. Somebody's got to win it.
Yeah. All right, boys, let's get into this weekend. Really just the main event live in Kansas City. Your boy will be live in person.
You going?
Yeah, I am going. Got the tickets on Monday. So I will be live in attendance, watching. This card was supposed to have Khalil Roundtree versus, Jamal Hill, which would have been an incredible fight. This is the card itself is pretty darn good. 6 fights on the main card, so that's kind of odd. The undercard's pretty, decently stacked. I'm gonna pull the card up actually here. But we got to talk about this main event because it has title implications. It's got some juice. These guys are talking a little shit to each other. It's none other than Ian Machado Garry versus Carlos Smoke him if you got him Prates. Bobby, I'm going to go to you. We'll start your thoughts here on this main event. This is going to be an absolute war, I feel like.
This is everything you want. I mean, literally, the fact that it's on a fight night, I'm still kind of shocked. Like, this is like main card of pay-per-view written all over it. And we talked about it a few weeks ago. You really got to credit Carlos for taking the fight. I mean, he wanted it.
Ian's taking the short kind of.
I mean, I give Ian enough credit. I will absolutely give him credit for this. But for me personally, Carlos is the one that's taking the risk here because he's on a heater. He was just going in, to fight Jeff Neal. And now all of a sudden, he's got to do 2 more rounds possibly against Ian Machado Garry, who, has pretty good distant management. And we've seen in the past, Carlos, when he fights bad, it's when he's being put on his back foot. So I find it very, very interesting how this fight is going to play out. I could honestly see, Ian wanting to maybe use some grappling and having it be a lot similar than the when he fought Jeff Neal and stuff and kind of use his size. But I could definitely see it going the other way as well. Like, you look at Prates, he does have that power. My question will mainly be, will he be able to find Gary's chin? Because again, what Ian is very good at is that distant management. And like, low key, what's not being talked about enough is this is Shuto Box versus the Fighting Nerds. So, I mean, that in its own right is going to be very enjoyable. Very jealous that you're going to be live in attendance to this one because this is absolutely the fight you want to be watching. But I don't know. I never thought I was going to pick against, the Fighting Nerds have been on such a heater every time they come up. What do we say? Well, they just keep winning. How could you really pick against these guys? And I get that sentiment completely, but I think this might be where I'm getting off the train for this one. Because I do think that Ian Garry has the tools to be able to beat Prates. And the thing that is most interesting to me is that this fight is 25 minutes. We've never seen Carlos in a 25-minute fight. So
never seen a smoke anything for 25 minutes. I just wanted to jump in there and throw that like a real cigarette smoker.
Exactly. And like, to me, like, that's why I love this fight so much. Because if Carlos is able to get it done, I mean, holy shit, he might as well 170's clogged enough for the next title shot. But if he's able to get this win over Garry, that would be a huge feather in the cap. So I could totally see why he, took the fight. So it's definitely worth the risk. And is Carlos's power just going to be too much for Garry, or will Garry be able to maintain the distance and more or less point fight to a decision? Also, think it's live that some grappling can going. I would kind of prefer to see that happen. I would be very interested to see, like, what if Carlos is as decent on the ground as John Silva? Like, I mean,
Yeah.
I really don't know what we're going to be getting. I would imagine he would be doing his best to keep it on the feet, but just what I saw on tape from Garry, and especially what I saw in his last two fights, definitely against Shavkat as well. I think I have to lean Garry for the win here.
Wow. Wit.
Yeah, bro. I'm kind of. I think Bacchus, you said it. No, which one? One of y'all said it just now because kids are making noise. It's more in my mind. There's more to lose for Carlos Prates. Ian Garry has come into this era of his career as someone, although we might not like his life outside of the ring, we might talk about like socially, he's got a situation that kind of people don't understand, but it's okay. That's fine. If it's whatever works for you, your family, the son, the mother of your son, like all of that stuff, that's cool. But in the ring, which is what we will stick to. We got the knockout with Rodriguez, Uncle Neil Magny by unanimous decision, Jeff Neal with the split, and then Michael Venom Page, MVP, which I honestly thought MVP was going to point him out. Prates is on the upswing of his career. Taking a loss to Ian Garry right now, especially when Ian Garry is on short notice, this could derail his whole joint, bro. Like, this could take him off the track to do what he wants to do. This could be the fight that makes him put the pack of cigarettes down if he loses it. But I am intrigued. I am intrigued by it being a fight night, B, it being a 5-round main event. This is where I think the tide kind of switches to Ian Garry's side to me. You know what I mean? Even on short notice, Ian Garry is obviously one of those guys that we have, seen and heard is constantly training, going to Thailand, living with the family in a hut, living it by meager means and really taking the fight game serious. I'm not saying that Prates doesn't take it seriously, but the part where this is 5 rounds, this is where the rubber's going to meet the road for him. Can he maintain that same level of pressure through 5 rounds with a top tier fighter like Ian Garry, who has been in the ring with tough competition, really took it to Shavkat as best as he could, but it didn't work out. You know what I mean? So if he almost did his thing against Shavkat, Prates, in my mind, even on short notice, should be someone he could, I'm not going to say easily take out, but handle in my mind. But would I be surprised if Prates landed a shot on him or something? Nah, I wouldn't be. But I'm thinking, Ian Garry is more has a better fight IQ. You know what I'm saying? Because he's been around the way a little bit longer. So I'm thinking the fight IQ takes over for Ian Garry, and he doesn't allow Prates to do the things that Prates does best, which is grapple. Prates likes to get you up in them corners, and then he's got long enough reach to where when he releases you, he'll catch you with those hands. If Ian Garry keeps him up in that Muay Thai plum behind the neck, you know what I'm saying? Maybe gives him a couple wiggles, throws him off balance, maybe especially, or does something like take his legs out from under him with some of those shin kicks, that they practice daily in Muay Thai in Thailand. They practice breaking people's shins. I mean, it could really upset the Carlos Prates style of fighting. So for me, I'm going Ian Garry on short notice on this one.
Yeah, The thing I like about Ian Garry is like every time he steps into the octagon, it's a different version of Ian Garry. Like he literally is like, okay, this is strong suit. Well, I'm not gonna, you know what I mean? Like the Jeff Neal fight, right? Like he's like, well, I'm not gonna sit here and fucking box Jeff Neal because like Jeff Neal can fucking knock my ass out. So what am I gonna do? You know what I mean? It's like every time he steps in there, he has a perfect game plan for his opponent. Like he really does, and it's something different every time. It's a new evolution of Ian Garry. I can't say the same thing about Carlos Prates. Like I feel like we know kind of who he. I'm not saying we don't know who Ian Garry is, but I just feel like he just continues to revolutionize. You know what I mean? Evolve every time. Every time he has a perfect game plan for his opponent, and I enjoy that. And he's just got the smarts, and I think that he's going to be able to kind of. And Bobby, you nailed it too. It's like we're going to find a lot about Carlos Prates. Is he as good as a wrestler as John Silva? Like we saw what John Silva could do on the ground in the Bryce Mitchell fight. Like was able to withstand all that. Like took Bryce to the ground and tapped him out. Right. Like so. Like is that just a John Silva thing, or is that a Fighting Nerds thing? Ian can do it all. I feel like, and kudos to Ian and everybody who's ever shit on Ian. Like he's backed up everything he said. He's taken on all these killers on short notice, short type notice fights. He didn't have to take this fight. Said, yeah, let's do it against the guy who's been killing folks. I'm kind of right there with you guys. I'm gonna pick Ian Garry. I was looking for the hammer. I don't know where the fuck it is. But that's why I was looking around the whole fucking desk, I think, for like the last 10 minutes while y'all were talking.
I was wondering what was going on.
Yeah, I was literally looking for the hammer. I don't know where I put it. So I was like looking around my whole desk looking for it. But I'm with you guys. I am picking Ian Garry here. I just think that every time out, he has the perfect game plan for his opponent, and he takes away what that opponent does well. So I'm picking Ian Garry. Like I'm going to ride with Ian Garry here, and this will put, you know what I mean. And he's done the UFC solid twice if he wins this one, and he'll be able to say, hey, it's time for me to have a title shot. Or him and Sean Brady or somebody like that. This 170's log jammed here at the top. And that's kind of why I don't want Islam to fucking jump in. But it happens. But
it seems like a big reason why he took this fight is because they didn't. They offered the title fight to JDM and not him.
Yeah.
So like you said, he just keeps taking the tough fights that no one wants, and if Carlos loses like to that point, I don't think his stock really drops.
No, I think Ian's stock drops a little bit, but if I don't even know if his stock drops. It's one of them fights where either fighter loses. I guess it'll depend on if Prates goes out there and smokes Ian Garry. You know what I mean? Then his stock would rise and Ian's would probably fall. 2-fight losing streak. And if Ian beats Carlos, it's just like, okay, well, maybe he's not who he thought he was, but I don't think his stock would fall all that far.
I'm kind of right in there with you guys. Ian's already built the name for himself. Prates is building the name, but taking on Ian Garry and losing to Ian Garry is still kind of like, all right, man. So it's not Neil Magny, but damn near the guy that we want you to see in there. Y'all know I always do. I gotta check out Tapology. Tapology's got it. 56% of 2017 people are close.
Yeah,
they think he's Garry with decision. So we're kind of everybody's kind of in the same, Ian Garry with this one.
Yeah, couple of fights I want to shout out. Anthony Smith's retirement fight is the co-main event.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so he's hanging. You got Giga Chikaze and David Oname is on this card. That's going to be a pretty good one. Michelle Pereira made his return. Randy, I think this fight, sneaky fight here. These two boys are always in a brawl. Randy Brown and Nicholas Dalby. I feel like Dalby, every time he's out there, is just in an absolute fucking war. So I wanted and Matt Schnell's on this card. So this it's a decent card, but obviously the with the great headliner at the top, you're gonna get your money's worth. So
I got a sneaky thing that I watch on IG from time to time. Had a couple of these Abus Magomedov knockouts. Guys seems to have some pretty nasty stuff.
Yeah.
And shout out to Mr. On Paper, Anthony Smith. I'm glad. I think the main reason this is a 6-fight main card is they made sure to put him on the main card. Like, well done, UFC. We could have had a better matchup, but at the same time, I think the UFC is trying to see where this guy's at. So they still think Anthony's the guy to test that. And hopefully he can have a storybook ending and put down the gloves with the win. But, either way, let's remember this guy could have literally took the Aljo way and won the light heavyweight title.
Yeah, he could have
defeated John Jones. And
he could have been the light heavyweight title. Yeah.
Yeah, this guy's done it all. He's fought for championships. So I hope they give him his flowers with some type of video package, and hope it all goes well for him.
Yeah, man, definitely, for sure.
Wait, any final thoughts before we get up out of here?
Yeah, man, big deal going on this weekend. We got to give big props to Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank. I don't know if you guys know, but the British former world champion for the WBC and WBO at middleweight, they both produced boys. That's right. Chris Eubank and Nigel Benn went out there and made two young men who in 2025, April 25th, their sons will be facing off against each other. Chris Eubank and Nigel Benn fought each other twice to exchange the WBC and WBO belts. Once pretty much, made a nice little even thing. Chris Eubanks can be seen on TikTok right now, pretty much giving his overview of the fight game. It's really, really good analysis, but it's pretty cool to see, the second generation of Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Benn get out there and do it. Hey, man, my old man wasn't, said I'm a chip off the old block type joint. You know what I mean? So we see a lot of fighters who come from fighters, but I think this is really different because my dad still does not like your dad. Like we really got beef. Not only do I have to fight you, but my father is on the other side of the ring, just gritting his teeth, thinking about that time he got knocked out. And boy, if I get knocked out, we're gonna have two old men in here, who can remember that. But I'm joking about it. But Chris Eubank, of course, has been knighted by the Queen before her passing. He's actually a really great advocate for boxing in Britain. One of the guys who actually tried to, link up with Turki Al-Sheikh to kind of formulate somewhat of that middleweight WBC, WBO stuff, so it wouldn't be such a logjam. So I'm interested to see how his son portrays the Eubank name in this one. So this weekend, if you got some time, check out Eubank versus Benn. It's kind of Eubank versus Benn 3, even though it's the sons. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, either way, check it out.
That's wild that this was this weekend. I thought we had more time.
Yeah.
No, in real life, I could have swore it was next month sometime, but my notifications for X went off. Another guy that I watch. Shout out to Hot Boxing Minute. Y'all follow him if y'all want to on X. Great fighting analysis. Always in the gym type of guy. He's pretty much broken it down really well. I think this is going to be. I don't think this is going to make it all the way to the end because they actually don't like each other from having had those English gym wars that they like to have that they don't put on camera. So I can't wait to see what happens with this.
I mean, that's saying it lightly. Eubank smacked him in the face with a handful of eggs.
Yes,
safe to say there's some bad blood in this one. And I'm stoked. We got 2 fights to look forward to now.
Sure, definitely.
It'll be a banger. All right, folks. Well, this has been another great episode of Head Kicks and Haymakers. We'll be back this time next week, 8 o'clock Central, 9 Eastern. We'll talk about, the results and everything else. So be a friend, tell a friend, folks. Like, subscribe, share. We'll see you next Wednesday night. For my guy, Witt, Bobby Blunts, I'm Bodkins. We'll see you next week, baby.
I love it. You guys are so great.
Thanks so much for joining us, and until next time, let's talk sport, friends. Thanks for watching.